Women's soccer punishes anyone brave enough to play in Pullman. New head coaches aim to extinguish the basketball and baseball dumpster fires. And football makes its long-awaited return to the promised land. This is Cougar Sports Desk for September 4th, 2019.
Hello to all you Wazoo fans out there. Here in Studio A, I'm Henry Lenhart.
And I'm Brady Frederick. Welcome to Cougar Sports Desk, the show as biased in favor of Wazoo as ESPN is towards the SEC.
Now, if you had any doubts about Anthony Gordon coming in and filling in the shoes as the starting quarterback, they should have been resolved this weekend. He threw for 5 touchdowns as Washington State blew right through New Mexico State 58-7.
And it's worth noting that the school record for touchdown passes in a game is 7. Minshew said that last season. Gordon easily could have surpassed that record if Leach didn't show mercy and pull him in the early third quarter.
Washington State scored on each of their 10 opening drives. Max Borghi ran for 125 yards with a touchdown. Desmond Patman had over 100 yards receiving and 10 different Cougs caught passes. Fans really couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. In a mood of total disregard for sleep schedules of West Coast football fans, Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott announced that select Pac-12 games would kick off at 9 a.m. Yes, you heard that right, 9 a.m. Now, various people with normal critical thinking skills, such as Mike Leach, noted that in order to start a game at 9 a.m., teams would have to begin preparations as early as 4:30 in the morning. In response to that, Larry Scott just shrugged his shoulders and continued bathing himself in a vat of money.
And speaking of making millions of dollars off of unpaid college students, HBO announced weeks ago that it will be profiling Washington State football in a new series called The Cougs. The show plans to take fans behind the scenes of practice, conditioning, and some guaranteed high-quality Mike Leach quotes throughout the football season. The Cougs aims to follow a very similar structure to HBO's beloved Game of Thrones in the sense that it will start strong, get better every week, and then absolutely fall apart at the end. The NFL kicks off this week, and plenty of Cougar alumni are making their pro debut. Gardner Minshew is set to make the Jacksonville Jaguars roster as a backup quarterback. So far, under veteran quarterback Nick Foles, he's already improved his decision-making, pocket passing, but most notably, Minshew has actually doubled his cup size.
Other big Coug names in the NFL include Andre Dillard, the first Washington State opening round pick since Deion Buchanan wreaked havoc on wide receivers and running backs in 2014. Dillard has been a beast for the Philadelphia Eagles during the preseason and is expected to protect Carson Wentz's blind side and left ACL for this upcoming NFL regular season.
And let's not forget about the Pac-12's all-time leading passer, Luke Falk, who recently just made the New York Jets roster as a third-string quarterback. Falk has a chance to be the backup to second-year quarterback Sam Darnold and may even have a shot to earn the starting spot because, as we all know, Sam Darnold is prone to getting things stripped away from him in big moments. In a possible homage to Klay Thompson, the 3 major sports at Washington State all won 11 games last year. While for football it means the most wins in program history, for basketball and baseball it meant 11th place in the Pac-12. Athletic Director Pat Chun decided it was time to make some very needed changes. Ernie Kent was fired after getting paid millions of dollars to win 22 conference games in 5 seasons. Now Kyle Smith is charged with pulling our program out of the gutter and getting us back to our past Aaron Baines level of dominance.
With key returners like CJ Ellaby, who withdrew from the NBA draft last season, he'll get some help from 3-star recruits like Noah Williams and Darren Henson. But you also can't forget the Worm too, Dennis Rodman Jr., plus Ukrainian 7-footer Vladimir Martovsky.
Yeah, but you got about 2 months to get that name figured out.
Yeah, I do.
Well, on the baseball side, the athletic department figured that if Washington State is going to spend $10 million on a new baseball facility, we should probably start winning some games. Brian Green was named head coach following 5 seasons at his alma mater, New Mexico State. Last year, he led the Aggies to an athletic conference regular season championship. And honestly, if you can win in New Mexico, then you can probably win anywhere. So, welcome aboard to our new coaches. It's definitely looking up for the Cougs this season.
That's all the headlines from this week. Now let's get into some recaps.
Welcome to the replay booth. I'm Mackenzie Dayton.
And I'm Kyle Deutsch.
Last weekend, WSU women's volleyball team went 2-1 at the JMU Invitational with wins against James Madison University and Stony Brook in straight sets. WSU lost in 3 straight sets to Iowa to wrap up the tournament. This weekend, they head to the Portland Invitational to play the second of 4 tournaments before conference play.
Soccer also played 2 matches last weekend and won both. WSU won 6-0 against Montana last Friday and won 6-3 against James Madison University on Sunday.
The only thing bigger than the score differentials is the return of Ella Diedrich. The 6-year senior tore her ACL in a game against Idaho last season and was granted a medical red shirt. Now she's finally back as the netminder. Prior to the injury, Diedrich earned an invitation to the 2018 Under-23 U.S. Nationals team. After losing key defenders Maddie Haro and Grace Hancock, Diedrich is a huge asset to the team.
Yeah. Now back to the desk for more WSU football.
Well, thanks, guys. Well, for Washington State's second football game of the season, this weekend they're going to be hosting the Northern Colorado Bears. That is not to be mixed up with Colorado State or UC Boulder, but, you know, it's all the same. You should be expecting a blowout this weekend.
And no, Brady, you're exactly right. FCS team playing a D1 team, this is just to get their exposure and get WSU ready for the Pac-12 season.
Yeah, and Washington State, who definitely looked great last weekend, you know, there might be some things to improve out, some kinks to work out. Do you see anything you're looking at?
One of the things I think I'm looking at is the quarterback play. Even though Gordon played terrific, he played great. He earned that starting spot. I still feel like there's still a little tension between him and Gabrud. Who's going to be that starter for the rest of the season? Because who's going to come up in that big moment later in the road?
And Gabrud's definitely talented. We were lucky enough to see Gabrud come in the third quarter, even through a touchdown pass. He's definitely a talented arm. A lot of people have argued that Gordon got the starting position because he had more time to understand the playbook.
And I can see that point exactly. He's been here for, what, 5 years now? Gabrud, he's been a D1 quarterback all his time starting at Eastern Washington. He has seen the arm talent. He's beat us before at Eastern Washington. So at least I feel like he deserves a fair shot, even though he got hurt in the spring of the season. And I think that's why Gordon's starting.
It all makes sense. I mean, the bright side of it, no matter what, Mike Leach is going to put the best guy out there every weekend,
100%.
no matter what the situation is. We're never going to have a quarterback who's in there for the wrong reasons.
No, exactly. And Mike Leach, terrific coach. He knows too well. He knows his game too well. He's never going to put someone up to fail.
Some other great points I think we saw this weekend. Max Borghi, 100%, has lived up to all the offseason hype so far.
Yes, he has. Christian McCaffrey 2.0.
Pretty much. Mad Max, everyone was saying he's going to come out there with a breakout season. Last season, as a true freshman, was his breakout season. This is just him piling on top of that.
No, it is. It's icing on the cake, especially for an air raid offense when you can pick him apart in the air and then hand him off to Borghi. And even Borghi, you saw him run routes. He can catch. He can still pull out those juke moves 10, 15 yards down the field that he usually uses to get past the lineman.
I mean, it's very nice to run an air raid offense and still have one of the most dominant running backs in the NCAA. I think that's fair to say at this point.
That is, no, completely fair to say. Well, that's all we have for this week's Cougar Sports Desk. It's set to be a great year for all Cougar sports across the board.
Yeah, and if you go too hard this weekend and don't remember the games, don't worry, we'll be back next Wednesday at 6 to give you all the headlines, recaps, and previews. Thanks for watching. Go Cougs.